How can a bank prove that the bank's money is its own? I am a lawyer with an extremely high win rate. When my performance is erratic, I can send the opponent to jail. When my performance is normal, I can send both the opponent and their lawyer to jail. And when I perform exceptionally, I can even send the one banging the gavel to jail too. However, an unexpected accident occurred, and I time traveled to another parallel world. In this world, I am an amateur marriage lawyer. Having graduated 2.5 years ago, I took on 5 cases and already lost 4 of them. So, the current me hasn't received a single case for half a month. Just as I was completely at a loss and preparing to change careers, an elderly couple walked into the law office before I could even stand up to greet them. The old man immediately stated his request. "Lawyer, our son is suspected of robbing a bank, and we want to ask you to defend him. It would be best if you could ask for a reduced sentence." As soon as I heard this, I was extremely excited inwardly. Robbing a bank already involved criminal prosecution issues. This type of case is usually not easy to resolve, but what I need is exactly a case that is not easy to resolve, to build a reputation for my law firm. So, I asked the old man to recount the entire general process of the case once more. The development of the case was like this. The old man suddenly fell ill and was taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. Then he told his son, Wang Li, to go to the bank to withdraw his savings for medical treatment. Because he was not the account owner, the bank required him to prove that he was the old man's son. Even though he brought his ID card, household register, and the critical illness notice, it was still not accepted. The bank staff used harsh words, insisting that the old man must personally come to verify. Otherwise, they would not allow the withdrawal. But at this time, the old man was still in the intensive care unit waiting for the life-saving money. How could he come? How could he prove it? Right when the two sides were arguing, several robbers rushed in and robbed the whole bank. One robber, knowing that the old man's son needed life-saving money, without saying a word, shared a portion of the robbed money with him. At that moment, the old man's son couldn't think much either. He took the money and went straight to the hospital. Later, the whole gang was arrested, and because the old man's son had received the money, he was identified as an accomplice, convicted of severe property robbery, and sentenced to 20 years in prison. After that, the old man continued to appeal, but the appellate court still upheld the verdict of the trial court. Now it has entered the final trial stage. Once the final trial makes a verdict, it will be impossible to appeal anymore, and the case will be considered closed. Mentioning the appellate trial, the old man suddenly became extremely angry. That appellate lawyer came from a top law firm in the South, claiming to be a top lawyer for criminal cases. He opened his mouth and demanded $188,000 in legal fees. The result was that in court, he only said exactly 3 sentences. "Yes, we accept the verdict of the presiding judge." This made the old man so angry that he trembled all over. At this time, Zhang Suifeng, who was beside him, hurriedly patted Wang Xizhong's back lightly and turned to say to me, "Lawyer Su, this case has a huge impact. We heard that if the final trial is held, it might be conducted in the form of a live broadcast. We no longer trust large law firms. We have looked for many small law firms, but no one was willing to take this case." Hearing this, my heart was truly as happy as if a flag had been unfurled. Isn't this a wonderful advertising opportunity for the law firm? So I didn't hesitate at all and took this case, promising that if they were not satisfied with the result, I would not charge legal fees. Very quickly after that, both of our parties finished signing the entrustment contract. Right at this moment, a female university student walked in. "Hello, Lawyer Su. I have come to report for duty." After trying to recall, I finally found information about this girl in the original owner's memories. The girl's name is Li Xuezhen. She is an intern lawyer that the original owner had recruited previously. Today, she came to take the job. Li Xuezhen is a law student from Lanzhou University of Political Science and Law. The most outstanding final year student, she submitted her resume to a small law firm precisely because she wanted to train herself. "You're here? Then go to the court with me for a trip." Very quickly after that, we brought back a copy of the case file from the court. After Li Xuezhen looked at the case file, She was a bit worried. Lawyers sue. The verdicts of the first instance and the appeal are the same. This greatly affects the verdict of the final trial, unless there is breakthrough new evidence or regulations. Otherwise, there is a high possibility that the trial verdict will be maintained. Moreover, I also heard that the prosecutor for this case is said to be very formidable. We're doomed. Could the first case we encounter fail halfway like this? Thinking of this, a sense of despair surged in Li Xuezhen's heart. At this moment, after I finished reading the case file, I was already certain of winning in my heart. I was already 80 or 90% sure of the verdict result of this case in my heart. Li Xuezhen was still immersed in despair and the feeling that we couldn't win a lawsuit. Looking at me beside her, she softly reminded, "Lawyer Sue, we are about to lose this case, right?" I gently shook my head. Lose? Wang Xizhong's son didn't rob anything in the first place. How could we lose? Didn't rob? Lawyer Sue, what do you mean by these words? You'll know when we go to court. Keep it a secret for now. The corner of my mouth twitched slightly as I confidently strode forward. Just kidding. The word lose does not exist in my dictionary. Li Xuezhen was very curious about my words, but didn't ask anything else, just trotted along behind. Although this case was almost decided, I still decided to go see Wang Xizhong's son first, and also that group of suspects to hear what they had to say. The case of Wang Li, Wang Xizhong's son, has always been controversial. After losing at the trial and appellate courts, the official verdict from the court has not yet been issued. Wang Li is currently still being held in a detention center. Very quickly after that, Wang Li was summoned, and Li Xuezhen and I went to the interrogation room. Wang Li's spirit was very down. After going through the first instance and the appeal, he no longer had any hope for a sentence reduction. Wang Li looked up at me once. "Hello, lawyer. Do you think I still have a chance?" I smiled faintly. "There is definitely a chance. I already promised your parents." Wang Li suddenly raised his head. "Really? You're not lying to me? If we don't win, I won't take legal fees." My voice was extremely firm. "Since I decided to take this case, I must be confident. As long as you cooperate well, the sentence reduction will not be a big problem. The extent of the sentence reduction mainly depends on your own attitude." I smirked slightly, completely confident in this case. "Cooperate? I will cooperate." Seeing me so confident, Wang Li nodded repeatedly, and a glimmer of hope sparked in his heart. Half an hour later, I walked out of the detention center satisfied. The things I wanted to confirm had all been confirmed. Preparing to go to court, returning to the law office, I briefly processed the documents for the trial. I handed the organized documents to Li Xuezhen. Li Xuezhen opened it to take a look, rubbed her eyes uncertainly. "Lawyer Sue, submitting it just like this isn't a bit too aggressive? This case originally requires a strong dose of medicine. If it's not strong, it won't work." I waved my hand. "You go out and process it." Li Xuezhen walked away with an expression doubting her life. Leaving the office, not long after, the final appeal application for the case of Wang Li, Wang Xizhong's son, was approved. At the same time, the court summons was also sent to the legal department of the bank. After receiving the court notice, the inside of the bank was a bit shocked. Accusing the bank of not operating according to procedures, resulting in the client Wang Li being convicted, demanding compensation for mental damage and job loss damages of 200,000 RMB. What is the meaning of this? In the Wang Li case, our bank is the victim, and we haven't even asked the court to punish him severely. Yet now we receive a court summons from the other party, suing us back. Isn't this a ridiculous joke? A robber actually has reasoning? The person in charge of Namdu Bank was extremely angry about this matter, immediately contacted the legal department, demanding to handle this matter strictly. At the same time, based on the special nature of the Wang Li case, robbing money to save his father and being sentenced to 20 years in prison, this topic easily exploded online. Public opinion online unanimously criticized the bank. How did the bank become the vulnerable party now? When people go to withdraw money, they make things difficult in every way, but when inviting people to make a credit card, they are very active. Support Wang Li, If the bank hadn't been so troublesome, Wang Li would have withdrawn the money to pay the fees long ago. There would be no need to go rob a bank. That's right, when depositing money, the bank staff treat you like their grandchild. When withdrawing money, damn it, I become like their grandchild. You guys don't understand the pain of the bank. Actually, the bank also has its own difficulties. Otherwise, you see, why is it that every time a bank has a problem with withdrawing money, it's all caused by temporary staff? This matter really can't be blamed on the bank. If you want to blame someone, blame that temporary staff member. Bulk texting person, 5 cents per message. The person upstairs, please, pull me into the group. I also want to earn this money. The person in charge of Nam Do Bank saw the public opinion online. Angry to the point of his liver boiling, he issued an ultimatum. We must absolutely win this live broadcasted trial. If you can't do it, then replace all the people in the legal department. I told you to arrange the cases related to Nam Do Bank in recent years. Have you finished arranging them? Give them to me to see. Li Xuezhen put the documents into my hand. I flipped the documents directly to the page with the contact information of the victims in the lawsuits against the bank. Then, I started calling the first number. Hello, I am a lawyer from Baijun Law Firm. I heard that 2.5 years ago. You sued Nam Do Bank. But you lost the case. Are you interested in seeing how Nam Do Bank loses a case? After hanging up, I called the second person, using the exact same script. Li Xuezhen looked at me, a flash of surprise in her eyes. You can even find witnesses this way? Li Xuezhen looked at my actions and couldn't understand them at all. This matter is completely different from what is taught in school. How should I say it? It feels very unorthodox, but extremely effective. For my character, she didn't see much of the demeanor of a major professional lawyer, but she learned quite a few things. The ways of the world is 1. Finding witnesses today is 2. Added together, that's 2 things, both very useful. 2.5 hours later, I put down the phone in my hand, let out a long sigh of relief. All the preparatory work has finally been completed. There absolutely cannot be any mistakes. Now we just sit and wait to go to court. The next day, at the out-of-court mediation session, just as predicted, Nam Do Bank rejected the possibility of mediation and arrogantly declared that they would definitely win the lawsuit. I didn't bother to care about that declaration. Who wouldn't speak strongly outside of court? Just wait until we cross-examine in the trial session. Then you'll immediately know what life is. Just wait and see if I win the lawsuit or not. Very quickly, the time to open the court session arrived. This case has caused quite a stir on the internet, having news exploitation value. So before entering the courtroom, many reporters were waiting at the court gate. As soon as the lawyer for Nam Do Bank arrived, he was immediately surrounded by reporters. The lawyer in charge of this lawsuit for their side was a young lawyer in his 20s from the legal department. His name is Li Mo. He cleared his throat twice, his face full of confidence. Compared to Li Mo being surrounded by reporters, my side was much quieter. Almost no reporters paid attention. I smiled, turned around, and led Li Xuezhen into the courtroom. While waiting for the trial to begin, Li Xuezhen seemed a bit nervous. Lawyer Su, our trial this time is a live broadcast. What if there's a problem? What if? There is no what if, unless the presiding judge intentionally judges wrongly. If that is really the case, then this case will be even more shocking. I smirked, signaling to Li Xuezhen not to worry about these things. In this parallel world, the law is highly respected. The law carries true sanctity. Everyone is equal before the law. There is no such thing as biased judging. If there is an objection, just file an appeal and see if the judge gets penalized. Judges in general will strictly enforce according to the provisions of the law. Regarding the presiding judge and the judges of this trial, I have already researched it. The presiding judge is a female judge, Wu Taihe, the vice president of the Nam Do Court. She has a very deep study of the law, has worked in the court for many years, has presided over hundreds of trials, and her verdicts are extremely reasonable. The Nam Do Bank robbery case this time is presided over by Wu Taihe. Regarding encountering unfair treatment, I have no worries at all, because Wu Taihe is famous for her impartial judgments. After the lawyers of both sides took their seats in the trial. The court clerk began to read the court rules to maintain order in the trial, maintaining the solemnity of the court. I will now read the court rules. Participants in the proceedings and attendees of the trial must obey the direction of the presiding judge. 2. When the trial panel enters the courtroom, and when the presiding judge or the judge pronounces the sentence, everyone present in the courtroom must stand up. The reading is finished. Please invite the trial panel to their positions. Everyone please stand up. Wu Taihe and 2 judges stepped into the courtroom. Bang the gavel to judge. Now the trial begins. After that, proceeded to verify the basic information of those present. At the same time, the trial was being broadcast live to the outside. Many people were also paying attention to this live stream of the trial. In the legal department of Namdu Bank, the person in charge of Namdu Bank, Wang Yu, and the head of the legal department, Su Jiqiang, were watching the live stream. Seeing the trial begin, Wang Yu raised his head and asked, "Jiqiang, the trial has started, it's only just begun, and there are already hundreds of people in the live stream room. This time our bank's legal department cannot lose. Do you understand?" Su Jiqiang smiled and nodded. "Director Wang, please rest assured, this time our legal department has prepared very thoroughly. According to your request, our legal department not only cannot lose, but must also win beautifully. At least it must have the effect of suppressing public opinion." Wang Yu nodded in satisfaction. This trial is broadcast live, and there are many online media outlets. Namdu Bank is under immense pressure. If we lose the case, the consequences for the reputation of Namdu Bank will be severe. Wang Yu, the person in charge of this Namdu Bank, will also be severely affected. Therefore, we cannot lose. After completing the verification of information in court, Wu Taihe banged the gavel. Now the plaintiff presents the facts and reasons, as well as the appeal request. I sat in the lawyer's chair, knowing that the crucial moment had come. I slightly adjusted my suit, then began to present the petition. Our side's request is extremely simple. First, our side does not accept the verdict of the trial court and the appellate court. Our client clearly did not commit a crime, yet was convicted of property robbery. We appeal, proposing to annul the verdict of the trial court and the appellate court, proposing to annul the original verdict, returning the clean innocence to our client. Second, proposing that the defendant, namely Namdu Bank, must compensate our client because of the wrong judgment of Namdu Bank, which caused our client to be wrongfully convicted to 20 years of fixed-term imprisonment and detained for a long time in the detention center. Proposing to compensate our client 200,000 RMB for damages due to lost work, mental distress damages, as well as reputational damage. This amount has been calculated in detail. It is not much. Third, because Namdu Bank has caused severe damage to my client's reputation, we demand that Namdu Bank must publicly apologize to our client, including but not limited to short videos and other forms. Publicly broadcast the apology information on all major platforms for a period of no less than 20 days. Fourth, demanding that the senior management of Namdu Bank step forward to clarify the truth, not only to return innocence to my client, but also towards those who have suffered similar treatment at Namdu Bank, to issue an apology. The courtroom was dead silent. Question marks appeared on everyone's faces. Is this lawsuit request really serious? Not only asking to annul the verdict of the trial and appellate courts, but also saying the client is innocent, wanting to return innocence. Okay, let's pass on this one, but this time they're also demanding Namdu Bank for compensation. Oh wait, the lawyer of a robber actually dares to ask the bank for 200,000 RMB in compensation. Lost work damages, mental distress damages, reputational damages. Is this robbing again? And even publicizing the price? In the live broadcast of the trial outside, the audience watching live, including some court staff, lawyers, and legal practitioners, were dumbfounded. They originally thought that in this lawsuit, Namdu Bank would definitely win the case, but the impact of this live trial broadcast was so huge. The judge is also a veteran judge. A sentence reduction verdict might be possible. Generally speaking, that would be profitable and could reluctantly be considered winning a lawsuit. But making a lawsuit request like this, is this making a wish? Even when making a wish, no one would dare to wish like this, right? Damn, this lawyer, brothers, type 666 on the screen. Regardless of whether they can win the lawsuit or not, this lawsuit request can be said to be one of kind. Maybe it will even be recorded in the classic case studies of the legal industry. This lawsuit request, even when making a wish, no one would dare to wish like this, right? Probably even the Buddha coming wouldn't be able to save this, right? In the legal department of Nam Du Bank, Wang Yu slightly frowned. Su Jiqiang standing beside him laughed and said, "This kind of petition from Su Bai is entirely just to get attention. Just watch it for fun. He won't be able to provide any real evidence or legal arguments. Maybe he'll even go to jail himself for perjury. When that time comes, the public opinion regarding our Nam Du Bank will definitely win." Wang Yu stared at the live trial broadcast. He coldly snorted, "But remember, no matter what this trial, our Nam Du Bank must definitely win beautifully." Understood, understood. Su Jiqiang smiled and said. At this time, the opposing lawyer Li Mo couldn't help but sneer. "This lawsuit request. May I ask the plaintiff's lawyer, can you provide relevant factual evidence and legal arguments? If you can't provide them, you might be sentenced to prison for the crime of obstructing justice." I smiled and said, "This matter seems to have absolutely no relation to the defendant's lawyer, right? Your Honor, the opposing lawyer is attacking me verbally, intentionally interfering with the normal trial process. I propose to ask the opposing lawyer to leave his position." Just as Liu Mo was about to say something, on the bench, Wu Taihe slightly frowned, banged the gavel. Invalid request. Rejecting the request of the plaintiff's lawyer. It is not yet the time for the defendant's lawyer to speak. First warning for the defendant's lawyer. Facing the sound of the gavel and the warning, Liu Mo could only swallow his anger, swallowing the words he was going to say back down. He couldn't stand it anymore. Liu Mo narrowed his eyes, staring at me intently, cursing in his heart. How can this bastard be such a dog? Which university's law department did he graduate from? Not only is his petition crazy, now I only said one sentence and he requested me to leave my position. The meaning of leaving the position is causing an influence on the court or the opposing party, temporarily leaving the court. Clearly, the words I just said completely didn't affect him at all. But he really is that disgusting. Li Mo sighed deeply, comforting himself that the lawsuit request of the lawyer in front of him is completely a baseless request, which has obstructed the normal judicial process. If he cannot provide evidence, he will face detention, even criminal detention. Not only will he win this case, the public opinion battle of Nam Du Bank will also win. It's completely not worth getting angry over. Liu Mo gradually calmed down. On the bench, Wu Taihe slightly frowned, speaking up to warn the plaintiff's lawyer. "Su, as the presiding judge of the trial, I have the obligation to confirm further if there is no factual basis." Li Xuezhen beside me told me to calm down. "Your Honor, I know what the consequences of lying are. I take responsibility for all the words I say at this trial." Wow. The whole courtroom was suddenly in an uproar. "Knock, knock." Wu Taihe banged the gavel. "Please keep order." Then continued. "Okay, since you have confirmed your lawsuit petition, then next, I invite the defendant, Nam Du Bank, to present its defense and lawsuit requests. The opportunity to rebut has arrived." Li Mo slightly straightened his posture, reading his defense and lawsuit petition once over. Our side's defense is as follows. First, regarding the plaintiff, namely the suing party, Mr. Wang Li, we request to reject his entire petition against our Nam Du Bank, at the same time request severe punishment for this malicious behavior. Punish him heavily, punish him severely. To show the dignity of the law, the second request, uphold the verdict of the Nam Du Trial Court and the Nam Du Final Appeal Court in the trial and appellate sessions. Third, request the plaintiff to compensate for all the damages in terms of reputation that he has caused us. The amount is 500,000. Fourth, request the plaintiff to pay all of our lawyers' court fees. Presiding judge, my defense and appeal have concluded. Lee Mo finished presenting his defense opinions and lawsuit requests. Wu Taihe banged the gavel. Both sides have finished presenting their lawsuit requests. Next, invite the plaintiff, the suing party, to present the legal bases and related facts. As soon as Wu Taihe finished speaking, everyone's eyes focused on me. The lawsuit request of the plaintiff's side is indeed a bit ridiculous. Li Xuezhen, as my assistant, was nervous to the point her palms were full of sweat. Lawyer Su, what should we do now? Do we have evidence? Li Xuezhen kept flipping through the litigation documents in her hands. The corner of my mouth twitched slightly. What are you talking about? You are an intern lawyer of the law firm. We are already at this point, and you are still worrying about this? I pulled the stack of documents from Li Xuezhen's hand. I spoke slowly, presiding judge, before presenting the relevant legal basis. I would like to invite my client to describe, once again, the process of the case at that time. Request approved. Now, the client presents the process of the case at that time. Let's begin. At the client's seat, Wang Li slowly stood up from his chair. He looked at the two judicial police officers beside him, his expression a bit tense. When his eyes met mine, his mood gradually stabilized. Your Honor, the presiding judge. I want to drink some water. Granted. The judicial police handed Wang Li a bottle of water. After drinking, Wang Li's tension was completely relieved. The process of the case at that time was very simple. My father was in the intensive care unit at that time, urgently needing money. I went to Namdu Bank to withdraw money. The bank staff used the excuse that I was not the depositor and refused, also asking my father to personally come to the bank or provide evidence proving I am my father's son. The household register didn't work either. I remember that while I was arguing with the bank staff, outside suddenly a group of robbers rushed in and robbed the bank. One of the robbers noticed. I was sitting on the floor, crying loudly. He gave me a portion of the robbed money. After that, I immediately took the money to the hospital to pay the hospital fees. Presiding judge, I have an opinion. I asked for permission to ask my client a few detailed questions. The judge banged the gavel, granted for the client's side, the lawyer to interrogate the client about detailed issues related to the case. But it is not allowed to ask about matters unrelated to the case or lead the subjective intention of the client. Yes, presiding judge, after receiving Wu Taihe's agreement, I asked the client, at that time, did you participate in the robbery? No. Then can you describe in detail once again the robber giving the money to you at that time? Wang Li slightly frowned, trying to remember. At that time, I remember there was a short-statured robber. Seeing me holding my head, crying bitterly on the ground, he scolded me, saying I was a coward, asking why I was so scared. I told him it was because my father was hospitalized. I went to withdraw money, but couldn't, worried for my father. So I cried. That robber went to rob the bank. It seems it was also to get money to save his family. After hearing my story, he took out 2 stacks of money and stuffed them into my arms. I continued to ask, so what happened after that? After the robber stuffed the money into your arms, what was your first reaction at that time? Wang Li quickly answered. At that time, I remember very clearly. At first, I didn't dare to take it. I was very scared. Then that robber scolded me. He said I was unfilial. So I took the money. Okay, thank you for your cooperation. Presiding judge, my side has finished asking. Wu Taihe looked towards the prosecutor's seat. The interrogation part of the prosecution's lawyer is complete. Then start your legal presentation. Yes, presiding judge, I slowly pulled out from the documents a set. The jury and the spectators at the trial all focused their eyes on me. Even the people outside the courtroom, the audience watching the live stream, also immediately perked up. This means that Su Bai does not accept the verdict of the trial court. He wants to overturn the trial court's sentence. Now, I'm not saying 666 anymore. I'll just say one sentence. So cool. Regardless of what the final verdict is, I find just the fact of wanting to overturn this trial court sentence alone very interesting. Regarding the unreasonable points in the trial court's verdict, questioning it is fine, but if you want to overturn the sentence, you need to provide new evidence to argue. This young lawyer looks very confident. Just fully supporting him is enough. In court, Wu Taihe slightly frowned. Regarding the trial court verdict of the Nam Du trial court, which point does the defendant's lawyer feel is unreasonable? You can use the legal provisions to explain and rebut. Yes, Your Honor, I nodded. This is the verdict of the Nam Du trial court regarding the determination of the crime for my client. The content is as follows. Therefore, they judged that the subjective intention of my client was to rob money from the bank. From that, judging my client as an accomplice or committing an equivalent crime is taking advantage of the opportunity to rob the bank. The second point of the verdict, the Nam Du trial court determined that my client, namely Wang Li, had communication with the suspect, considering that as additional evidence to confirm the viewpoint that he is an accomplice. Our side does not accept these 2 points of the verdict. The reasons are as follows. Just now my client clearly stated. At that time, it was the suspect who actively asked. My client. The next matter, recounting it is a bit complicated. My client will be called by his real name. Wang Li said it very clearly. At that time, the suspect himself actively asked him, "Why are you crying at the bank?" After hearing his story, the suspect actively wanted to give money to him, told him to go to the hospital to pay the hospital fees to save his critically ill father in the hospital. Moreover, right at that moment, Wang Li said his mood was anxious and scared. May I ask the presiding judge? Wang Li's first reaction was fear. Then how could, judging by subjective intention, Wang Li want to rob money from the bank? Fear right at that moment was the true subjective intention of Wang Li. Moreover, there is also this point. Wang Li said the suspect scolded him. In the situation at that time, the suspect scolding Wang Li clearly showed dissatisfaction with his actions. The crux is that the suspect was holding a dangerous weapon in his hand. Just a single thought could very likely put Wang Li in danger. In this situation, Wang Li's life had absolutely no guarantee whatsoever. According to the provisions of our country's law, Wang Li meets the conditions of a state of emergency. Therefore, he does not need to bear any criminal responsibility. Based on the above arguments, our side regarding the second point in the verdict of the Nam Du trial court does not recognize it. The verdicts of the appellate court and the trial court are the same. Therefore, our side would like to take this as the reason. Proposing to annul the verdict of the Nam Du trial court and the Nam Du intermediate court. Regarding the trial and appellate sentences for our client, Wang Li, an uproar erupted in the court. Regarding the sharp issue I raised, everyone was dumbfounded. After that, someone thought about it carefully. The eyes looking at me were full of admiration. Wang Li's eyes also lit up. He is innocent. There's hope. He doesn't have to go to prison anymore. Nam Du Bank is about to lose. So wonderful. Li Xuezhen also breathed a sigh of relief. Her eyes looking at me carried a bit of admiration. A lawsuit like this actually has hope of winning. Really formidable. It really wasn't a waste of my good judgment when choosing a law firm. So wonderful. At the same time, the legal department of Nam Du Bank. Wang Yu's face was terrifyingly gloomy, coldly looking at Su Jiqiang, this head of the legal department. Director Su, didn't you beat your chest and guarantee me that we would definitely win? But what's going on now? Not only can't we make the sentence heavier, but we also let the other party propose declaring innocence. What if the other party really wins the lawsuit? Damn it. Do you know what it will cause for our bank? What will the consequences and damages be? When that time comes, your entire legal department will have to pack up and leave. Director Wang, please don't be anxious. This case is still not over yet. That opposing lawyer really does have talent. But our bank's legal team doesn't just sit around wasting the bank's money, coming to the bank to be fed for nothing. The 2 points that the opposing lawyer brought up. It is true there is no problem, but the trial court verdict has several points in it. The remaining points are the most crucial. Su Jiqiang took out the files of the trial court verdict. Wang Yu glanced at it and snorted. It's best if nothing happens. You just keep a close eye on this live stream. If there's any situation, come over here and report to me. Just looking at it makes me annoyed. Remember carefully, this lawsuit is not allowed to be lost. Waiting until Wang Yu left the office, Su Jiqiang finally let out a breath. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. Just now with Director Wang here, The pressure he had to bear was a bit huge. Regarding this lawsuit, he is the head of the legal department, so he understands better than anyone. It's a sure win. But when he saw the opposing lawyer, Su Jiqiang didn't understand why. An idea suddenly popped into his head. What if the other party wins? Coming back to his senses, Su Jiqiang immediately slapped himself once. Impossible, the other party is just an unfamiliar lawyer from a small nameless law firm. How could they possibly win? In court, I looked towards Wu Taihe. Presiding judge, my side has finished presenting. Wu Taihe nodded slightly, looking towards Li Mo Nam Du Bank and the prosecutor. Is there anything else to add? Li Mo gritted his teeth looking at me, secretly cursing in his heart. This Su Bai really is good at twisting things. He only mentioned the first 2 points, and didn't mention the following points of the verdict at all. Li Mo raised his hand. Presiding judge, I have a question. Li Mo raised his hand, asking for permission from the judge. Wu Taihe looked towards the defendant's side. If the defendant's lawyer has any questions, you can present them right in court. Li Mo took a deep breath, pulling out the trial court verdict. Presiding judge, I have a request regarding the presentation of the plaintiff's lawyer. I propose to reject that presentation. The reasons are as follows. Just now, the plaintiff's lawyer did not accept the verdict of the Nam Du trial court, and at the same time presented corresponding reasons. However, the plaintiff's lawyer, you avoided the heavy and chose the light, only recounting the first 2 points of the sentence, intentionally ignoring the subsequent points. The third point of the sentence is that the Nam Du trial court determined that Wang Li, in a situation where she clearly knew it was the bank's property, still chose to use this property to go to the hospital to pay the hospital fees. In the presentation just now by the client Wang Li, it was described very clearly. After Wang Li left the bank, she had escaped danger, yet still chose to take the money to the hospital to pay the fees. Based on this point, it can be affirmed that this is a judgment from Wang Li's subjective side, and not as the plaintiff's lawyer described, that Wang Li was in a state of emergency. I would like to ask the plaintiff's lawyer, when your client clearly knew that was the bank's property, why did she choose to go to the hospital instead of calling the police to hand over the bank's money? Or wait until she reached a safe place before proceeding to return the money? But Wang Li intentionally carried out the act of using that money to go to the hospital to pay the hospital fees. This shows that first, she knew this was money robbed from the bank. Second, even if the kidnapper threatened her, then at the time of leaving the bank, Wang Li had escaped danger, not constituting the conditions of a state of emergency. Combining these two things together, from subjective intention, isn't it equivalent to robbing the bank's money to save her father? Of course, I know this is human nature. I do not deny Wang Li emotionally regarding the care and love for her father. But looking from the perspective of facts and the law, the verdict against Wang Li absolutely has no problem. Presiding judge, I have finished presenting. Li Mo finished speaking and immediately glanced towards me. The last paragraph was temporarily added by him. He also knew the influence of public opinion on this case was very large. So he had to both win the lawsuit and pay attention to the influence of public opinion. Otherwise, waiting until the case ends and the lawsuit is won, then the reputation of Nam Du Bank will also suffer heavy losses. The plaintiff's side regarding the counter-argument of the defendant's side. Do you have any opinions? Or put forth a different viewpoint? Li Mo glanced at me provocatively. I smirked. I was waiting for exactly this moment. The opportunity to take down Nam Du Bank has arrived. Presiding judge, I do not have any objections to what the plaintiff's side has presented. The argument of the plaintiff's lawyer is correct, but there is one point that the plaintiff's lawyer has overlooked. I want to ask the plaintiff's lawyer that Wang Li took the bank's money to the hospital to pay the related costs, and from that concluded the subjective intention of my client, Wang Li, but how to prove that the money belongs to the bank? My counter-question directly made Li Mo freeze. What does this mean? What is called how to prove the bank's money is the bank's money? Damn it, this question is a bit unreasonable. Not only was Li Mo dumbfounded, but many people present at the trial also were a bit confused. Can it still be like this? Haha, what's the meaning here? Asking the bank to prove the bank's money is the bank's money. This lawyer is not someone to be trifled with. This lawsuit has gone in a direction that I couldn't foresee. I feel like my brain is about to break. Isn't this lawsuit about Wang Li? Shouldn't it focus on reducing Wang Li's sentence? The bank is supposed to be the attacking side. Why does the lawyer of Wang Li's side have such strong attacking intent now? I'm not sure anymore, but I feel this lawsuit is so interesting. Watching it feels so satisfying. In court, my difficult question directly made Liu Mo speechless. For a moment, he couldn't guess what exactly I was thinking. Looking from the perspective of a question, my question indeed had no problem at all. But looking from a perspective of facts, the money the robbers took from the bank, if not the banks, could it have fallen from the sky? But Li Xuezhen looked at me, deep in thought, seemingly understanding something. Wu Taihe banged the gavel, calmly looking towards me. The argument of the plaintiff's lawyer. Is there any evidence or legal basis to prove it? Yes, presiding judge. I pulled out a document from the trial court case file. Presiding judge, this is the evidence document provided by the prosecution after the trial court session. Based on the evidence brought forth by the prosecution, the situation inside the bank at that time was very chaotic. The robbers not only robbed the money inside the bank, but moreover, they also targeted the customers who were doing withdrawal procedures in the bank. To carry out the robbery, then put it all together in his sacks. According to what the surveillance camera recorded, the money the robber handed to Wang Li, he had casually taken 2 stacks of cash from inside the sack. These 2 stacks of money absolutely cannot be distinguished whether it was money robbed from the bank or money robbed from the hands of the customers who had finished withdrawing and were preparing to leave. How can the bank prove that this money is the bank's money? If it cannot be proved, then the bank side cannot determine my client participated in the bank robbery. This money is indeed robbed money, but it was not obtained by my client robbing it. The robber gave the money to my client. My client at most can only be considered to have enjoyed illicit gains. Therefore, please invite Namdu Bank to prove that this money is the bank's money. Everyone at the trial was bewildered. You can even do that? Wu Taihe slightly frowned. She is the presiding judge. Over all these years, has judged hundreds of cases. The robbery case of Wang Li this time has a very large influence in society. The Chief Justice let her be the presiding judge. But a case like this time, she is encountering for the first time. The process is so twisty, the questions raised are so unreasonable, but everything is within the scope of the court's procedures. Wu Taihe did not show any major emotional expression. She looked towards the bank. Regarding the doubts raised by the plaintiff's lawyer, does the bank side have any evidence to rebut or have any objections based on any legal provisions? Liu Mo at this time was so angry his lungs were about to explode. Since when did the bank have to go prove the bank's money is the bank's money? Liu Mo really wanted to shout and curse, but he had already been warned once. Being warned again would result in a 50 RMB fine. More seriously, he would be thrown straight out of the trial. Having no other way, he could only force himself to calm down. He raised his hand, replying, "Presiding judge, I object to the other lawyer's wording. When customers are in the bank has the responsibility to protect the safety and privacy of the customers. The bank's customers have not yet left the bank. The responsibility for that money naturally belongs to the bank. Therefore, the loss regarding the money robbed from the customers, the bank needs to bear the main responsibility or full responsibility, based on the division of responsibility. The customers have not left the scope of the bank's transaction hall. Then, that money is naturally considered the bank's money. There is absolutely no need to distinguish whether it was robbed from the bank or from the customers. The robber carried out the act of snatching, whether it's the bank's money or the customer's money. As long as it is in the bank's transaction hall, it all belongs to the bank's property. Liu Mo spoke loudly, staring intently at the plaintiff's lawyer chair, his eyes full of resentment towards me. I calmly smiled. I raised my hand to ask to speak, presiding judge. Regarding Namdu Bank concerning the robbery in the bank's transaction hall, I would like to object. Presiding judge, this is a lawsuit from half a year ago. That lawsuit was, at that time, a customer of the bank was withdrawing money. As soon as he held the money in his hand, he was targeted by a robber lying in wait. He robbed 150,000 RMB from the customer at that time. Later, the robber was caught, but because the money was all spent, he also had no money to return. So the customer who withdrew the money at that time asked the bank for compensation and filed a lawsuit against Nam Du Bank to court. But the bank used the excuse of leaving the counter, believing the client did not protect their own property well, to make an argument, ultimately leading to the fact that the customer who withdrew the money lost the lawsuit. Could this be called the way Nam Du Bank protects the safety of the customer's property right in their own transaction hall? Is this what the Nam Du Bank side said, that when not having left the bank, the customer's money will be protected by the bank, and the loss will be borne by the bank? Regarding this point, our side maintains an attitude of denial. Presiding judge, our side requests to summon the client of that case into the court as a witness. Wu Taiha nodded slightly, her hair falling down. The plaintiff's lawyer requests to summon a witness into court. After the voice of agreement sounded, the judicial police led a middle-aged woman around 40 to 50 years old, stepping into the courtroom. As soon as that woman stepped into the courtroom, she stared intently at Li Mo. Li Mo, who didn't know why, suddenly had a bad premonition. On the judge's bench, Wu Taiha read aloud the related information of the witness. Witness appearing in court, named Wang Min, 46 years old. Is the identity correct? Wang Min nodded forcefully. Your Honor, I am Wang Min. The identity is real. Wu Taiha continued to speak. The witness's identity is real. Invite you to recount the related situation. Wang Min, after hearing this sentence, seemed to have found a place to vent her anger. Half a year ago, I deposited a sum of money at Nam Du Bank. That sum of money at Nam Du Bank perhaps was not much, 150,000, but that was the money my husband and I had worked hard for several years to prepare as bride price money for my son. At that time, I had just withdrawn the money, and a criminal robbed the money that my husband and I had worked hard for several years to save. Later, when we found him, the money was no longer there. We listened to the advice of a lawyer to sue the bank. The bank used the excuse of leaving the counter, exemption from responsibility, and said it was because I myself did not keep it well to refuse. And the result was that I lost the lawsuit. Today, taking this opportunity, I want to ask Nam Du Bank, what is the meaning of you doing this? Double standards, right? When I sued you, you said leaving the counter, exemption from responsibility. Now that you're sued, you say being robbed in the bank hall, then the financial loss of the customer, the bank must bear the main responsibility or full responsibility, based on the division of responsibility. The customer has not left the scope of the bank hall. Then that money is naturally still counted as the bank's. So should you return my hard-earned money to me? Tell me, right or not? Nam Du Bank, give back the money. Wang Min at first could still recount calmly, but the more she spoke, the more agitated she got. Eventually, directly shouted loudly, scolding terribly without restraint. The judicial police, standing nearby, wanted to control her, but couldn't. At the trial, and the people watching the live stream, all started discussing. If it goes on like this, Nam Du Bank really has double standards. On one hand, saying they're the victim, on the other hand, actually being the perpetrator. Bumping into Nam Du Bank can also be considered bad luck. I remember other banks don't seem to be this despicable. I'm not sure anymore. Everyone can leave comments sharing to see. Just need to avoid which banks is enough. In the live stream room and the trial replay. In the broadcast room of the trial. Many people continuously complained about the trial. In court, Wu Taiha saw the witness was somewhat unable to control her emotions. Immediately banged the judge's gavel, requesting the plaintiff's witness to pay attention to controlling her emotions. Insulting the defendant in court is not allowed. First warning, hearing the presiding judge's voice. Wang Min's emotions were immediately controlled. Sorry, presiding judge. I did not control my emotions well in court. Sorry. Wu Taiha had no major expression. Plaintiff's witness appearing in court. Wang Min, have you finished presenting? Presiding judge, I have finished presenting. Judicial police, escort the plaintiff's witness out of the court. After Wang Min left the trial, Wu Taihe looked towards Li Mo regarding the testimony of the plaintiff's witness about Namdu Bank not fulfilling the obligation to protect property safety for customers in the transaction hall. Does the defendant's side, Namdu Bank, have anything to add about the situation at that time? Li Mo clenched his fists, forcing himself to stay calm. This lawsuit for him was truly too torturous. He even had a feeling he couldn't win the lawsuit. After letting out a long breath, he calmed down. Presiding judge, just now the plaintiff's witness was at the trial, insulting Namdu Bank right on the spot. Therefore, I doubt the mental state of the plaintiff's witness. Therefore, I think that the words the plaintiff's witness said at the trial are not enough to be considered evidence before the court. Li Mo finished speaking and paid attention to me on the opposite side, the corner of his mouth slightly raised. And my heart suddenly had a bad premonition, right when the presiding judge was thinking whether to agree with Li Mo's request or not. I raised my hand. The presiding judge noticed this, then spoke up to ask, "Does the plaintiff's lawyer have anything to say or anything to add?" I smiled, raised the stack of documents in my hand up. Looking closely, there were more than 10 pages. Li Mo looked at me suspiciously. I smiled at Li Mo once, then continued, "Presiding judge, our side agrees with the defendant's lawyer's request, but our side still has a few more witnesses who can accuse Namdu Bank about not protecting the property safety of customers within the bank." Li Mo's eyebrows almost furrowed tightly. "Hey, will you stop it? You're too much, truly frustrating to the point of going crazy." Li Mo didn't know how to describe his mood right now. He had just pointed out that the opponent's witness might have mental issues. The result was that I didn't argue with him about this issue, but flipped my hand and pulled out a stack of witness files. How could he play dirty like this? This matter is too unreasonable. Li Mo has handled who knows how many lawsuits, but has never encountered a case like this. It is indeed a peak frustrating scene. The corner of my mouth still kept a smile, quietly looking at Li Mo, who was so angry his body was failing. Thinking to myself, "Kid, weren't you very arrogant just now? Didn't you think you could continue arguing with me? I won't bother arguing with you anymore. You said this witness might have mental issues. Then what about the others? How could they be considered negligent? Continue. Aren't you looking down on my Baijun law firm, specializing in marriage consultation? So what if it's marriage consultation? In criminal litigation, I will still ask you until you don't know which way is up." I smiled, continued speaking, "Presiding judge, the evidence documents that my side holds are enough to prove that the bank does not have the ability to protect the customer's property. Therefore, I propose regarding the defendant's side, Namdu Bank, the defense from the lawyer must be rejected." Wu Taihe banged the judge's gavel, rejecting the plaintiff's proposal. Basis for reason: legally, the bank side has the obligation to preserve the property of customers. The evidence the plaintiff's side provides does not have universality. Approving the proposal request. Based on approval, the defendant's side, Namdu Bank, has not fulfilled the obligation to ensure safety for the bank's customers. Right at the moment the judge's gavel was banged, the reason for Wu Taihe's verdict was also spoken very clearly. It's just that some people who didn't clearly understand, when watching the live trial broadcast, did not understand what this meant. So they couldn't help but ask, "Teacher Law, rejecting and approving at the same time, what does that mean?" That's right. Watching this makes me so confused. Teacher Law, explain please. At the trial, La Daqiang smiled, explaining this verdict of Wu Taihe. The reason for rejecting the reason proposed by the plaintiff is because the reason proposed and the evidence of the plaintiff show that the bank does not have the responsibility to protect the safety of the customer's property. However, in the provisions of the law, the bank must ensure the safety of the customer's property. Namdu Bank is litigating with a customer who is its victim. Winning the lawsuit does not represent universality. If the verdict is to agree, then it also means acknowledging the bank does not have the responsibility to protect the safety of the customer's property. But if the verdict is to not agree, then in this argument, Namdu Bank indeed has not fulfilled its obligation. So what to do now? This presiding judge Wu Taihe handled it very skillfully. She rejected the reason the plaintiff brought up, keeping the dignity of the law, but accepted the lawsuit request, showing that Namdoo Bank indeed has not done things thoroughly. This lawsuit, Namdoo Bank right from the beginning went in the wrong direction of argument, completely falling into the opponent's argument trap. La Daqiang nodded slightly. This lawsuit, I'm afraid the Namdoo Bank side will lose. Namdoo Bank is about to lose. Teacher La says Namdoo Bank will lose. Then I'm afraid Namdoo Bank is beyond saving. Right. Let me see who this Teacher La is. La Daqiang looked at the comment section, smiled. Okay, this lawsuit is almost over too. Let's watch the final presentation and the verdict together. In court, regarding the verdict result of Wu Taihe, Liu Mo raised his hand, raising a question. The presiding judge has still not allowed me to continue presenting. I request to declare the verdict just now invalid. Request rejected. Liu Mo's face darkened. What the hell is request rejected? Presiding judge, I want to ask why my request was rejected. The trial result has been pronounced, has been notified to the defendant's side. This request is invalid. If the defendant's side still wants to continue raising the request, you can submit an application after the trial for administrative review. But currently, this request is invalid. He was about to die from grievance. He slowly uttered a few words. Yes, presiding judge. Wu Taihe coldly glanced at the defendant's side, which is also Liu Mo's direction, then looked over to my side, then banged the judge's gavel. Now, invite the plaintiff and defendant sides to make their final presentations at the trial. The plaintiff's lawyer makes the final presentation at the trial. Yes, presiding judge. Presenting in court, the most important thing is whether you can move the judge or not. Regarding this point, I had already prepared early on. No need to incite emotions. This case only needs normal judging, then we will not lose. Wang Li will be resentenced. According to what I learned about Wu Taihe previously, this presiding judge values the interpretation of the law the most, which also means the legal provisions are above all. I slowly stood up. Respected presiding judge, based on the petition and the evidence my side has submitted in court, my side has absolutely nothing more to add. I only want to say that the justice of the law will not judge wrongly about a bad person. Wu Taihe looked at me with satisfaction, nodded slightly. The plaintiff's side has finished presenting. Next, invite the defendant's side to present. Liu Mo knew this final presentation is the last chance for our Namdoo Bank. Because he could feel it, this lawsuit seemed bad. Liu Mo slowly stood up, saying, Respected presiding judge, respected members of the judging panel in this lawsuit, our Namdoo Bank is the victim proposed by the plaintiff's side. Wu Taihe, after hearing Liu Mo's description, her face expressionless, looked towards the judge's bench. With a client, Wang Li was sitting opposite. Invite the client to make the final statement. Wang Li looked up at the high judge's bench, then looked toward me once. Respected presiding judge of the trial, respected trial panel, I do not have any opinions about this trial. I am willing to accept all verdicts. Presentation finished. Now, temporary recess. Temporary recess for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, the court will reopen to pronounce the sentence. Wu Taihe banged the judge's gavel. The trial entered the temporary recess stage. Right at the moment Wu Taihe announced the temporary recess, everyone present at the trial stood up, watching the three people, Wu Taihe and the trial panel members, leave the high judge's bench. During the temporary recess, everyone, because of the final verdict result of the trial, felt uneasy. There was only one exception. That was me. Li Xuezhen's palms were sweating. This was the first time she personally participated in a trial. At the same time, had also witnessed my debate in court. Although the debate was finished, the final verdict result was still an unknown. Therefore, she was extremely tense. Li Xuezhen looked at me curiously. Lawyer Su, could it be you are not worried about the final result of the trial? This is a big case, and it's also a live broadcasted trial. I heard this incident is quite noisy. Aren't you worried at all? The verdict that deserves to be passed will be passed. The one that doesn't deserve it won't be passed. You can rest assured. The person who needs to worry is not us. I looked at Lawyer Li, the legal department of Namdoo Bank. He is the one who has to worry much more than us. Li Shuezhen glanced at Li Mo. He was looking toward her. She couldn't help but speak up. Lawyer Su, Lawyer Li seems to be looking at us. I looked up and had already noticed. Li Mo was using a gaze intertwining anger, unwillingness, tension, and all sorts of other negative emotions, staring intently at me. I smiled. No need to pay attention. Lawyer Li is just doing eye exercises. We just walk our own path, and that's it. Yes, Lawyer Su. Su Bai's bland joke is quite interesting. Li Mo, hearing this conversation, was so angry he almost coughed up blood. Losing the lawsuit is one thing. But you two walking past me, couldn't you whisper a little quieter? At such a close distance, speaking so loudly, do you think I'm deaf? There is no other way. Just now the lawsuit was exactly a lost lawsuit. In court, no matter how angry you are, it's useless. The result of the final trial is already there. Li Mo finished arranging the trial documents, then followed behind my back. Stepping out of the courthouse. Outside the courthouse, the reporters had eagerly waited to interview. Some people even called to inform on the spot. Editors prepared sensational headlines. The Wang Li case has a spectacular reversal. Nam Du Bank faces the judgment of justice. When I stepped out of the courthouse, many reporters had rushed over, pointing the microphone straight at me. Excuse me, Lawyer Su. This time, what are your thoughts on your defense in court? What thoughts? How could you think of a way to force the bank to prove? The bank's money is the bank's money? Lawyer Su, we have learned that your law firm is only a marriage consultation office. May I ask why in this criminal lawsuit you could perform so sharply? Facing the reporters, surrounded by the media, asking incessantly. I simply adjusted my suit. Our law firm, although it is a marriage consultation office, but our lawyers are proficient in criminal cases, civil cases, disputes, economy. We have experience in all types of other legal professional services. That's why we could win this lawsuit. If everyone has litigation needs, you can prioritize considering our Baijun law firm. I smiled gently, revealing white teeth, looking extremely sincere. After finishing the advertisement, I then led Li Shuezhen hurriedly away from the scene. The scene only had the staff of Nam Du Bank left. At this time, it seemed a reporter had discovered new news. Immediately carried the camera over to Li Mo. Excuse me, Lawyer Li. What do you think about being extremely confident before the trial, but ultimately losing the lawsuit to a nameless, insignificant law firm? Previously, you said the probability of winning for Nam Du Bank told us not to worry about this matter. Could it be that in your heart you already felt Nam Du Bank would definitely lose, right? Excuse me, Lawyer Li. Do you have any conflict of interest with the plaintiff's lawyer? Li Mo's face darkened, the corner of his mouth continuously twitching. Damn it, do you specialize in poking at other people's sore spots? You have very bad intentions, right? What do you mean by saying that? Suspecting me of being an insider? Li Mo almost went crazy. Different from the previous time. When entering the court, Li Mo's momentum pierced the sky. When coming out, not only did he lose the lawsuit, but was also stabbed painfully. After the trial, judging the Wang Li case ended. Major media outlets immediately scrambled to report the news, all aimed at Nam Du Bank. Su Bai's classic saying, "How can a bank prove the bank's money is its own?" quickly caused a storm. Nam Du Bank's reputation and image had to suffer heavy damage. And right at this moment, a comparison video also became hot online. The beginning of the video was the scene of Li Mo confidently speaking about the probability of winning the case. There is no need to worry about this. I believe everyone has their own judgment. The end of the video is the straight back of Li Mo. The title of the video is the silent back. The caption content wrote, actually right from the beginning, Nam Du Bank's lawyer, Li, already knew this lawsuit of Nam Du Bank would lose. Why? Because he is too formidable, infiltrating Nam Du Bank's internal organization alone, helping a marriage consultation law firm win a victory, destroying the reputation of Nam Du Bank. What is this? Damn it. This is exactly going undercover for 10 years, just waiting to launch one move. The video had just been posted and was immediately spread widely. Countless netizens came in to comment sarcastically. This is the first time I heard about lawyer reporting infiltrating the enemy camp. This way of handling things is truly 666. Yo, there's even this conspiracy theory? Damn, an unscrupulous lawyer can be whitewashed like this? Chief Judge, awesome. There's no other way. The internet is like that. Even some netizens who knew the truth couldn't help but tease ha ha ha. This text copy is also truly peak. Going undercover in the enemy camp for 10 years. Just for one move, wait for me to return. Haha, I can't make things up anymore. Please invite the next contestant. At the Internal General Assembly of Nam Do Bank, his eyes were full of angry fire. What is the meaning of this matter? Eating the bank's food. The bank spends money to raise you for what? Now I will issue a notice. Liam, due to having caused an impact on the bank's image, creating an extremely huge negative impact. Now I officially announce the firing of Liam. You can take your things and leave now. Liam watched the content in the video and his head was dizzy. Ancestors. I'm famous this way? Okay. The direct consequence this time, and the impact caused, is extremely huge, causing the bank's reputation to plummet unstoppably. Therefore, the bank had to apologize to its customer. At the same time, compensate for the previously lost lawsuit. All the losses for the customer who lost property at the bank. To salvage the damage to its reputation. Nam Do Bank's action of locking the stable door after the horse is stolen, on the public opinion aspect, can only be said to have some effect. Nam Do Bank again spent a large amount of money to bribe the media and public opinion, wanting to take the upper hand on the public opinion front. Unfortunately, netizens completely didn't care. Wang Yu spent heavily wanting to extinguish public opinion, after spending a not small amount. Finally also gained a bit of result. However, met the legal commentator La Daqiang, posting a video with the title, "The Best Court Debate I've Seen This Year." Court debate. That video talked about the Wang Li case. La Daqiang is a famous legal commentator, having a very huge influence online. Immediately silenced everyone. In the video, La Daqiang analyzed in detail the legal knowledge at the trial. Also explained why the lawyer had to debate from a certain angle, analyzing the crucial issues of the trial. In the trial video, although Nam Do Bank had been blurred, but anyone who knew the matter knew it was Nam Do Bank. In the comment section, there was no shortage of kind-hearted people reminding Nam Do Bank once again suffered severe reputational damage compared to the bustle online. Bai Jun law firm was much quieter after the lawsuit ended. The first 2 days, the people coming for legal consultation were quite crowded, but mostly just asked casually without hiring. They came with a probing attitude, wanting to ask for free about a few legal issues. After knowing they had to pay a fee, mostly all ran away. There wasn't a single case. There were also a few girls to relieve their mood, intentionally came to find me to consult about marriage issues. I pushed them all to Li Xuezhen. Women with women empathize the easiest. Leaving the consultation to Li Xuezhen probably wouldn't be any big problem, right? These people coming for consultation, when they saw the person receiving them was Li Xuezhen. For some reason, usually after talking for less than 10 minutes, they hurriedly left. 2 days later, when the incident had cooled down, the people coming for consultation also decreased significantly. I also had more free time. Spent nearly 5,000 RMB hiring workers for 2 days to initially renovate the law office. At least looking from the outside, it looked much more professional than before. Spending another 5,000, I bought some simple office supplies. Overall, the law firm now also looked like a proper law firm. Much better than before. I nodded in satisfaction. Growing the business big and strong, this could be considered taking a small step. It's just that the law firm is still deserted. Haven't received any lawsuits at all, it seems. The advertising effect online is not very good. Advertising on mass media also doesn't work. During this period, the invitations for me to go to other law firms, to take the position of criminal lawyer, were not few. Just didn't have any cases to take. But working for others, how could it be as comfortable as being your own boss? So I rejected them all. On the 4th day after the lawsuit ended, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun was directly overhead. The weather outside was a bit sweltering. I was drinking tea, enjoying the cool air conditioning. Li Xuezhen was busy on Teacher LA's video. Advertising for a law firm. The advertising method is very simple and rustic. Not flashy at all. Leaving a comment in the comment section saying the winning lawyer this time is Subhaya Namdu by June Law Firm. The lawyer has high expertise, proficient in both civil and criminal cases. If you need to find a lawyer, just come to Namdu by June Law Firm. After half an hour, Li Xuezhen copying and pasting until her hands were a bit tired. Couldn't help but ask, Lawyer Sue, does advertising like this really have? I see our comments have no effect at all. Private messages also have no activity. Of course, it has an effect, but just posting one comment might not have a big effect. So it still needs your persistent effort. Besides, don't you want to have many cases to follow? To learn more litigation experience. Later, officially become a good lawyer. I seriously said to Li Xuezhen. This young, enthusiastic intern lawyer is burning with momentum. Li Xuezhen looked very serious. Okay, then let's continue. Yes, Lawyer Sue. Li Xuezhen, full of energy, continued repeating the copying of comments. I glanced at the date. Today, Wang Li must have completed the procedures for probation. He and Wang Xizhong made an appointment to come today to pay the lawyer's fee. Calculating the time, they should be arriving soon. Sure enough, while I was thinking, Wang Xizhong, husband and wife, being supported by Wang Li, slowly walked to the door of Baijun Law Firm. The smile on their faces could not be hidden. Their son went from a 20-year prison sentence to a suspended sentence. To the old couple, I am no different from a great benefactor. Otherwise, with their age, even dying, they wouldn't wait until the day their son was released from prison. Perhaps they would leave with infinite regret. It could be said, I was the one who gave them a new hope. Looking at Wang, Li was also smiling brightly. This lawsuit, he had also seen my real strength when appearing in court. If it weren't for me, waiting until he got out of prison would also mean completely disconnected from society. Towards me, he is extremely grateful. They supported the two old people walking into the law office. I took 3 bottles of mineral water, placed them in front of the Wang Xizhong family, sitting on the sofa, at the same time handing the verdict. To Wang Li, this is the verdict after the trial ended. Previously kept at my place. You keep it carefully, don't lose it. Wang Li solemnly and carefully folded the verdict a few times, folded it to the size fitting a pants pocket, then stuffed it into his pocket, then took out a black bag from his pocket. Lawyer Sue, according to the contract, the lawyer's fee is about 100,000 RMB. My father and I have discussed it. This time, if it weren't for you, Lawyer Sue, I'm afraid I would have to sit in prison for at least a dozen years. Now I get a suspended sentence, and it's only a few months. Here is 120,000. I know this amount of money is not much. Consider it a token of gratitude. Please accept it. Wang Li just like that stuffed the money onto me. Wang Xizhong and Zhang Boyfen were afraid I wouldn't accept it, so they stood aside, speaking up for him. Lawyer Sue, this lawsuit all relied on you. This amount of money compared to the fees of other lawyers is already very little. Just accept it. Yes, you have helped our family with such a big favor. This thank you money is not much. I also didn't stand on ceremony anymore. A case like this, at the appellate stage, Lawyer Jin Zhuan could even take 188,000. I helped Wang Li avoid the scene of prison. Receiving this amount of money is also not much. Lawyers' fees are usually calculated based on the difficulty level of the case. Seeing me accept the money, Wang Li finally let out a sigh of relief. Seemingly remembering something, he suddenly asked a question. Lawyer Sue, are you free regarding the area of marriage law? I looked up at Wang Li. What? You still want to file a divorce lawsuit? My eyes and Wang Li's eyes met. I thought to myself, this is having just gotten a suspended sentence to come out and planning to do a civil lawsuit to wake up. Wang Li shifted his body, making the new sofa creak. Facing my question, Wang Li shook his head. Lawyer Sue, I am currently still in the probation period, afraid that litigation will cause trouble. My purpose in asking you is mainly wanting to introduce you to a divorce case. It's my childhood friend. He wants to sue for divorce. Lawyer Sue, if you accept handling divorce cases, then I can introduce my childhood friend to you. Wang Li introducing like this truly shows good intentions. Having a lawsuit and immediately thinking of me. This person is okay to play with. Didn't expect Wang Li coming here today. Would also bring me an unexpected joy. I immediately said, of course it's fine. Our law firm specializes in divorce lawsuits after all. This matter you probably also know, right? Wang Li scratched his head awkwardly. Last time when lawyer Su helped me solve the lawsuit, my impression was too deep. So I kept thinking that. Lawyer Su is a professional criminal lawyer. That's right. I am exactly a professional criminal lawyer. Disclaimer. All content, characters, settings, and events are products of my imagination and were created for entertainment purposes only.